Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. I'm calling you again. Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. I'm calling you again. Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. This will not be my last. Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. You have insulted me. Now you called me a convict, Sergio Perez. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. So, when it comes to you, Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami, I'm gonna act like a convict. I'm gonna show you no respect. I'm gonna break every rule. I want you here in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and I want you to bring your Dion with you. Dum dum Dion, dum dum, ironic dum 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 Dion, come and show me your Wing Chun. Dum dum Dion, come and get me, son. Dum dum Dion. Now, when I showed myself to you, to all those fools, I did just get out of jail. See, I have a mother that'll make Gypsy Rose wet. I have a wife that'll make Jason Della Russo commit 105 domestic violence charges. And I have a grandfather who could have taught Uma Thurman to kill Bill. So Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts, before I was a convict, I was a crazy. But I stand here today like I stood, strong and proud, after my release from jail, crippled in the mind, my body torn to shreds. The absolute inhumane treatment that I received. Now, if you knew anything about me, Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami, you'd have shut your mouth. You'd have showed me a little respect. You know nothing of me. You celebrate Dion Smo's charade of persona. His persona insulted a friend. Your friend. At least that's what you called me. I'm just fine not being that. Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. The adult games are fine. Picking on Marty Pablo from Haters Inc. That's fine. He can handle his own. See, I drew the line. When I watched two unintelligent people playing games with their subscribers. See, no matter what, you were making money off of drama while including other people into your drama. Now, is it true that yes, I decided to involve myself in it? But like that old rule, kiss and tell, thou shalt not. Once you involve someone else into your affairs, assume their nose will be ripe with shit. So Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. I came as a viewer. Now, I did not subscribe to Haters Inc. He was at an even 332. I made that 333. I didn't subscribe to him until that taking a shit on your back door. Now let's talk about this at the same time that you're fucking around. You got all those other YouTube martial artists out there having an old-fashioned tournament of bullshittery. A few of them get hurt because they shouldn't have been doing it. You are engaging in childish games. Now, don't get mad at me for not knowing when to stop. It's a childish game, right? Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. Dion Smo was insulting Sifu Frank. Now, I did not know him. Now, he was insulting him for his weight and for his style and expression of martial arts being fake and fraudulent. Now, you'd like to confirm that he is neither of those things. Maybe fat. But aren't you? And I apologize for the fat remark, Sifu Frank. I have no intention of disrespecting you. Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. He asked politely for your friend to stop. He made it clear that he was not only annoying him, but he was showing him absolutely zero regard for his personal life and his own achievements, disregarding everything as false. Regarding everything as false. Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. I am holding your integrity under the microscope right now. Now, I wasted all of my ink printing out those Epstein files. By association, all men and women who knew what he was doing and still did something with that man and went to that island are guilty by association alone. Whether or not they might have done something or not. You are guilty by association the same way. Now, if a man points a gun at somebody next to me, and I am standing there, and I do nothing but watch that person get shot, you could say that there's nothing that I could have done, but I very well could have thrown myself in front of that gunfire. You called me a coward, Sergio. Yet you paraded around looking for a fat man who never won a fight. You don't give me the opportunity to even show I am not a coward. You arrive here as you were supposed to 1 year ago. Who's the coward, Sergio? Me or Dion? It ain't me. Now I offer you an opportunity to apologize, because that is what we are supposed to be teaching our children, correct? To be strong, confident, gentle and kind, to love our brothers and sisters, to admit to our own wrongs, to hold our brothers and sisters accountable for their actions. Now you hold me accountable for being a criminal, a convict. Let me tell you my crimes. Assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill. It was the first one I was convicted of. I got home from work. And it was not my house to myself. I didn't have my house to myself, right? Things that did not, nothing that means anything, right? Another man in my house. So we used jealousy. Jealousy, anger, exertion. My crime was this, words. If I was crazy, I would kill you all. I took my knife out, set it, put the knife back in my pocket, and walked out the door. Had no intention of hurting or harming anybody. It was a statement. I was called crazy, and I responded with an explanation of why I was not such. I went to jail. I was on probation. I had to attend anger management. I refused. So I failed my probation. I could not work. I had to walk everywhere. I walked to work. I did a great job. I rode my bike to work. I finished that probation barely. Right at the end of that probation, 9 months, I was assaulted by police officers while leaving a Christmas party on Racetrack Road in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Officer Joey Herman parked his car at the Circle K on Racetrack. Cutting me off. Endangering other vehicles. Chased me with his hand on his gun as I walked. He didn't call for me. He didn't flash his lights. He didn't say stop. He showed me no interest, only that I needed to fear him. I was angry, so I was doing my best to avoid a confrontation where one would arise. Instead of saying anything to me, he put his hand on me, grabbed my shoulder. And that was his own mistake, not mine. I responded with violence. I refused to let him take me to the ground. He beat me. He hit me. Here. 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 And each time he hit me, it made me angry. He did not use his words. He used his hands. He choked me. He called me a junkie over the radio as he called for backup. It was pouring down rain. Two officers tased me after they could not put me to the ground. After they could not subdue me, two officers tased me in the pouring rain. They laughed about it afterwards. They took me to the hospital. I remained handcuffed. My heart rate was over 200. They kept telling me how I should not be there. I should be dead right now. Why is my heart rate so high? I must be on drugs. Well, you just zapped me. Every single officer out in that hallway laughed and mocked me. They refused to tell me why I was stopped, why, and what I was being arrested for. They refused to take a drug test on me, so I assaulted them. They treated me with no respect. But each one of them just ate at my job before I got there. See, I have my acorns now to protect me. I dropped one by kicking him in the nuts. He put his fingers in my throat, so I spit in his mouth. The officer I wanted to assault, who deserved it, the only one that deserved it that night. And I do apologize to those officers that I assaulted, because there was only one that deserved it. And that was Officer Joey Herman. At this moment, he is the only officer that I hold any ill intent for. Do not confuse that with a threat. That is an acknowledgement of how I feel. I was taken to jail. I was then beaten by guards there. So I spit in their mouth. They showed me no respect. Lieutenant Swanson. Swallowed an entire mouthful of my spit. Am I sorry? No. I am not. Because the things that I have seen him do while I was in jail, incomprehensible. He should be behind bars himself. He brought a loaded gun into a hotel MHU the day after I was sentenced, not to prison. Him and Lieutenant or Sergeant Pratt, whichever lieutenant or sergeant he is. So Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. Convict, the last crime I committed. I struck my mother 3 times with a hammer fist to the bridge of her nose. Her eyes were swollen, bleeding. I had nightmares about it while I was in jail. See, I don't have a mother that I love. I don't have a mother like you might. I have one. That made me suffer and is making me suffer right now, here. See, we can train however we want, right? Doesn't matter. See, there's something here. That's hard to fight. Those thoughts, feelings. See, a lot of people are fighting the demons inside their own heads, and they're losing. I haven't lost yet. But you possibly would have been instrumental to my downfall for sure. It's crippling to not have anyone truly you can trust, and then to be betrayed in such a way. See, I had to free myself from my mother. Crippling grasp. So Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. When Sideshow Dave was supposed to make a mix track for Dion Smo attacking the Sifu Frank. That's where troll season came in. See, we're going to talk about me being evil, satanic worshiper. It's funny. My governor's on a campaign right now. I'm going to go help him out here. See, you called me. By association, you called me all the things that he called me. Now, if you were to look up that profile on YouTube, you'll see what? Devout follower of Lilith. What is that? Do you know? I don't know. You know, right? So, how about before you start talking about me doing nothing, you figure out what your boys are doing. They're your boys. See, I had to separate myself from Dion Smo the moment Sifu Frank said, your boy, he's not my boy. But because he didn't know me, and I appeared with you fools, he assumed he was my boy. I can't be associated with anyone of the likes. For one, he believes the earth is flat. Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. I am just fine with men messing with men, fucking around with their heads, right? Wanting to beat them up, beat them down, right? I'm okay with that. That's what men do, right? As long as they're there to carry and pick someone else up. When I'm not alright with Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami is when I see Sideshow attacking a girl, CC Rose. She did nothing. She was doing nothing to anyone. See, you insulted me by letting your friends simply attempt to make a mockery of me. You called me a coward and a convict. So there's your CC. CC Rose is my reason right now. See, you don't get to attack someone's religion, Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. Dion Smo challenged me. I didn't challenge him. He told me that he would be here in July to whoop my ass. You, Sergio Perez, owe me an apology and owe me a Dion Smo. I want you both here. Calling all crazies. Calling all crazies. Today is Suit Saturday. We're gonna stay out of trouble. Suit. S-O-O-T. Stay out of trouble. Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. Dion Smo from Buffalo, New York. I am issuing you this challenge one more time tonight. Do not wait. Why do we need to wait until July? Meet me here. Calling all crazies. 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 calling all crazies, 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 calling all crazies. Look at this highway right here. This is Highway 98. Look at that. Highway 98 West. Just that way is Pensacola. Hey, just that way is Fort Walton Beach, where we're standing right now, is technically Florosa. We can call it Mary Esther, Florida. Don't get lost. So, if you go that way, come from that way right there, you'll be coming from Miami. That's where I'll be expecting you. That way. You can come from New York. That way. Or you can come that way. Your choice. But I expect you both to be here. Destin's that way. You might want to go there, check that out. Calling all crazies, 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 calling all crazies. People are sleeping. Calling all crazies, 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 calling all crazies. Sorry. Am I getting my Britney on? Calling all crazies. 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 Said calling all crazies. 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 If you're crazy and you know it, raise your hand. If you're crazy and you know it, raise your hand. If you're crazy and you know it and you really want to show it. If you're crazy and you know it, raise your hand. If you're crazy and you know it, click subscribe. If you're crazy and you know it, click subscribe. If you're crazy and you know it and you really want to show it. If you're crazy and you know it, click subscribe. So, Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. You hear those birds? I feed those birds to make sure that they're well taken care of. I love those birds. Why is no more lion, Sergio? I'm gonna fly, Sergio. I'm gonna fly. Sergio Perez from Practical Combat Martial Arts in Miami. I challenge you, and I challenge your smo.